So, we're going to talk about matrices and general overview about matrices, first of all. And we kind of looked at matrices and historically, we spent about 2 weeks on this chapter. And so we are going to spend a little bit shorter time on this chapter. You might see a matrix on the test, on the ACT test. We looked over a bunch of different tests and over the last 10 years, and a matrix problem occurs about 5% of the time. 95% of the tests did not have a matrix on them. So, we wanted to make sure that you understood how to deal with basic matrices, manipulate basic matrices, so if you see a problem, you can address it, handle it, and move forward. So here we have a basic matrix. We have matrix A, we have matrix B. If I asked you to add them together, what would seem to be logical? What would you add? Like, what would you add the 2 to? What corresponds to the 2? Okay, so what corresponds to the 2 is the -4. And what's 2 plus -4? -2, okay? What corresponds to the 0? The 1. What corresponds to the 3? The 6. And corresponding to the -5 is the 3. So if we asked you to add these matrices together, very simply, you're going to add each corresponding part together and get this new resulting matrix, which is -2, 1, 9, -2. Does that make sense? So, as we looked at the ACT tests, and we're really focused on making sure you're ready for the ACT here. That's our primary focus, because as we move up the line in pre-calculus and calculus, you are not going to use matrices very much. But I want to make sure that you're comfortable here. So here's my question. If that's A and B, how do we figure out what A minus B is? Let's kind of work this out together. A minus B. So make your bracket. What's the top left in A? 2, right? What's the top left in B? -4. So we have 2 minus -4. Let's go to top right. And I'm going to switch to green. 0 minus 1. This make sense? Paul, what's bottom left? Minus.
I really don't know.
Well, what's the A coordinate? So we're going to take A minus B. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 3.
So we're going to have 3 minus 6. And then our last coordinate, circle them in black, A minus B becomes -5 minus 3. So here we go. 2 minus -4 is what? 6. 0 minus 1? -1. 3 minus 6? -3. -5 minus 3? -8. Questions there? They're going to ask you to add matrices. They're going to ask you to subtract matrices. In all of the exams that we found, nowhere did we find any question that went further than that regarding matrices. So can you do those too? This is really a review from Algebra 1, but I wanted to make sure that you didn't come across a problem and miss a question on that ACT about matrices. Grace. Luke?
Were we supposed to learn this now?
You did.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, I did not.
If you don't remember it.
Yeah, I remember he talked about like the matrix.
If you weren't in my class, I talked about the movie The Matrix and the ones and the zeros and the Leo guy dodging. You remember that story? Okay. So we didn't talk about matrices, but we didn't talk a lot about them.
Yes, I never took algebra.
Okay. Well, then you didn't hear my cool story. So, Grace?
Should you tell it to him now?
No.
Okay.
Steph told me that you can solve like the three when we did like the system of equations with like the three equations. He told me you could solve them with a matrix. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that really complicated?
Mm-mm.
Can we learn that?
Mm-hmm.
So
That's what we did yesterday on the lab.
Okay.
Did you not do the lab?
Not yet.
Oh, this is the problem. Okay? So, any question on this? Now, let's just say that it was an issue. You could go to your calculator, put in matrix A, put in matrix B, and then add them together. But I think it's pretty straightforward that you can just do this in your head. So I hope that that's doable. I hope that's functional, but you can do it. All right, so let's look at the next page. Let's do a little review from yesterday. The purpose of a matrix is to gather and arrange data. That's the purpose. One function that you do with a matrix is called row reduction echelon function. Okay, so we do what's called a reduced row echelon function. And we used to spend about 4 days in chapter 4 teaching you how to do a reduced row echelon function. And you basically take a matrix that's 3 by 4, and you do a bunch of computations and a bunch of manipulations carefully, and you end up with a matrix that is very, very straightforward, and it has ones and zeros in most of the spaces. And then in the final column, Paul, it has numbers. And those numbers are your answer. Now, this should be a familiar idea from what you just did yesterday. And so what I want to do is just review how to solve and use matrices to solve systems of equations. So let's start here. What would be the matrix for number 1 in size?
2 by 3.
Okay, it would be a 2 by 3. So my numbers would be 2, 9, negative 46, 3, negative 2, and 24. Right? So let's take our calculators, pop those out, go to your matrix. And we're going to put in 2, 9, negative 4. And then we're going to put in, what's our other one again? 3, negative 2, 24. Oh, negative 46. Sorry, I missed that last number. So, it's up on the screen, up on the board there. So go, once again, now to second matrix, and I'll go slow here. Where's your calculator, Grace? Here, catch. Does anyone else need one? Dude. Okay, so go to matrix A. You want to edit it. Needs to be 2 by 3. So 2 by 3, and then put in 2, 9, negative 46. Then put in 3, negative 2, and 24. Once you've done that, then you're going to hit enter, or you can hit second quit. I'll wait a moment for all of you to put that in. Everybody got that in? Paul, what's your question? Needs to be in as a 2 by 3. And you change that by hitting the edit button. Does everybody have that?
I did.
Does anyone else need a calculator practice? I have one more.
Yeah.
You guys each have one? Why don't you both do it so you're getting the practice? Do we all have that in? Rephrase the question. Who does not have it in? Okay. Do you remember the function next? Reduced row echelon function. That's what it stands for. RREF. So you go second, quit, which takes you back to the main screen. Where is that? It's in the matrix tab. So go second, matrix. Go over to math. Do you remember where it was yesterday? All the way down. All the way down. And now it's not REF. It's RREF. So hit enter. And now which function do we want to do a reduced row echelon function for? Matrix A. So go back to matrix A. So second matrix. Choose A. You don't need a parentheses, but you can put a parentheses. It doesn't matter. And hit enter. And what does it do? Just like that for us. Solve the system. So what's the answer?
4 negative 6.
4 negative 6. So we go back to our draw board. And what is my answer? X equals 4. Y equals negative 6.
Should that be written in a...
Or you can write it 4 negative 6. It is a point, right? It's where these two lines do what? They cross. In order to do a matrix, what form must your equations be in? Standard form, right? X's and Y's on one side, the constant Joey on the other side. Can't be Y equals mx plus b here. It has to be in this form. All right, now, let's do number 2. Who can tell me my starting matrix? First of all, what size? How many rows? 3. How many columns? Okay, so Richard, what's the first row going to look like?
1, 1, negative 1, negative 6.
Okay, remember when you put in negatives, we use the opposite. What's the second row?
5, 7, 6, 8.
And the third row?
Negative 10, 3, 8, and 40.
Okay, so let's put that into your matrix. Probably want to start a new matrix and call it matrix B. And so I'll write this one up on the board. 1, 1, negative 1, negative 6, 5, 7, 6, 80, negative 10, 3, 8, 40. So put that in to matrix B. Matrix B. Once again, go over to edit, go down to B, and put those in. A 3 by 4. Give you a moment to get all those in. Does everybody need help? Does that make sense? Should have given you a normal number. Do we all have that in? 1, 1, negative 1, negative 6, 5, 7, 6, 80, Negative 10, 3, 8, 40. Now we go quit. Now I want to show you a little shortcut here. Go to second matrix. Do you remember what letter was next to RREF? B. So instead of arrowing all the way down, you could hit alpha B. Okay, and that would take you all the way down if you were going there. So alpha B jumps right to RREF. One, you're under the math column. Now go second matrix, and I have this one in as my second one. So I go down to B and hit enter. Do I need an extra parentheses? Don't need it. Hit enter. And so what's my answer? 4, 0, 10. So pop back to draw board, and my answer is 4, 0. Was it positive 10 or negative 10? Positive 10. A little quicker than doing it by hand? Yes, ma'am.
What did I do wrong?
The only thing I can wonder is you have to check your matrix to see if your matrix is correct.
Is that the only thing that I could have done wrong? Because
Yeah.
Anne got the same thing.
No, well, look at your matrix. Look at your top row. Does it say 1, 1, negative 1, negative 6? Carefully look at it, Grace, and I believe it says 1, 1, 1. And so, if you just miss one number, is that going to throw your whole thing off? Remember when we did the test? If you miss one number, does it throw everything off? Okay, so is it absolutely critical, folks, that you get your matrix coefficients in correctly? I mean, you miss one coefficient and everything's off. So I just wanted to kind of review this with you to make sure you were comfortable adding matrices, subtracting matrices as we move forward. Okay? That's it.